You know, speaking of, there's still that little matter of Transformers 4. I bet that could fill quite a bit of this box. So what do you say? Do you want to watch it?
Do I want to watch it? Of course not! But I cannot wait to review it. Hey guys, I just got back from seeing the latest Transformers movie, Transformers 4, Age of Extinction. It is nearly 1:30 right now, after an almost 3-hour movie. Got in at the 9:30 showing. Yeah, that was kind of weird. I expect the movie to come out at midnight on this Thursday night, now leading into Friday. But apparently these Transformers movies, they get released earlier and earlier every year. I don't get it. Before I go into my review of the movie, why don't we go check in with Black Lantern Dave and see what he had to say.
Oh my god. I sat through it with Bob, and he laughed, and he smiled, and he only went like this once. But no, it was really good. Very, very well done. Really blows the first three out of the water. Mark Wahlberg did a wonderful job. He did exactly what I thought he did. Not only does he have star power to bring additional people into the franchise, he ended up really doing an excellent performance. I mean, he's a fantastic actor. For the first time in any of the Transformers movies, I give a crap about the main characters.
The main characters who are not the Transformers.
The main characters who are human. The main characters who are human, which I know has been one of the biggest beefs from the Transformer community, is that we're not getting enough Transformer story. It's too much human. And honestly, the human story up to this point has been terrible. We don't care about any of the characters. We don't care about any of their life, any of their backstory. This time, every character, except the boyfriend, is fantastic. We care about them. We empathize with them. And then you meet this boyfriend, which has a lot of potential for comedy, and Mark Wahlberg does his damnedest to make it funny and awkward and uncomfortable with this secret boyfriend. The entire movie, you know, he's full of himself, and yeah, he's got some driving skills. Great, whoop-de-frickin-do. There's no, he's just full of himself and just thinks he's you know, the shit. And he keeps trying to put this vibe out to the dad, like, oh, I'm amazing, I'm so good for your daughter. No man ever wants to hear that. Every man knows that, so now he's just being a cocky asshole. And then it turns out he's not as cool as he thinks he is. He's pretty much a giant puss, and spends the rest of the movie being a big old puss, until right at the end, where he finally hears a little semi-monologue from Mark Wahlberg, and he finally mans up and does some cool stuff with his driving. So finally, you know, his driving skills kind of pay off in the end. But in general, from the human side, very, very cool. Lots of characters that you want to empathize with. Lots of good story. Then of course there's the Transformers. You know, I would have liked a little bit more backstory as to who these guys are. Not being a huge Transformers fan myself, but in general, not a lot to complain about. What's the big weapon covered guy? Hound. Okay, I don't remember them ever introducing his name, but Hound.
I don't think they did either.
I don't think they did. In fact, I don't know if they ever used his name, but Hound was funny. Again, a little overcomplicated looking, a little hard to focus on because of all the little tiny moving parts.
Yeah, par for the course.
Yeah, pretty much a Transformer movie. But generally pretty funny, a little crude. Oh, that reminds me, one great thing that happened in this movie. The Autobots threatened humans, and they had a reason to. Every other movie that you meet a new Autobot, and the first thing he does is points a gun in the human's face and says, oh, I'd love to kill these guys. Autobots are good guys. But in this movie, they're being hunted Finally, we have some reason for the Autobots to be so fucking prickly. They're normally just...
That is very true, isn't it?
There's at least one in every movie who's just a cranky ass, and finally we have a reason. So I'm so excited about that. Someone put thought together, or it just happened to be a happy coincidence. Either way, it was lovely. As always, I would have liked to see a little bit more Transformer on Transformer, action. Gross.
We know what you mean.
You know what I mean. But like, all in all, I got a lot of good robot v robot interaction. There was a decent amount ish of Optimus Prime versus Lockdown, the Bounty Hunter. This
was good, but there's always room for more.
There's always room for more. However, there was a goodly amount of it, and it wasn't stupid. It wasn't dumb. It didn't feel contrived. It was very, very entertaining. I loved the Bounty Hunter. Very interesting looking. I know that he turns into a Lamborghini. It's cool. I'm okay with it because he's kind of a slick guy.
He's very mysterious.
He's very mysterious.
He alludes to their origins, but we don't know where from exactly.
Well, and of course that's what they're sort of playing to for movie number 5. But no, he was very entertaining. Looked gorgeous like they all do and all that stuff. But it
gorgeous-ish.
Well, yeah. Gorgeous from the non-Transformer, blocky, toyish version. You know what I mean? For the new Transformers, he looks very cool, very slick. The way that they animated his face was very, very organic looking, which made him, which allows you to get a little bit of a feel for his emotions. At first, I wasn't sort of down with the whole face transforming into a gun thing, but they sort of make it look believable-ish. So that's something. But yeah, in general, pretty fun. That we see a lot of them running around in a they're not called Transformers. They're called...
what are we talking about?
What's their race? They're not Autobots. They're not Decepticons. They are...
That is actually a very good question. The default answer to that question is they are Cybertronians.
Cybertronians. Thank you.
But then what is Lockdown?
Well...
We don't really know.
Well, with... Spoiler alert. They attempt to establish in this movie that they were never actually born. They were created by a creator race. Now, that flies in the face of the first 3 movies, but let's be honest, we don't care.
I do.
No one who matters cares. Personally, I'm willing for them to go, we're going to sweep these under the rug and pretend that they never happened.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
So there's a creator race. We see a little teeny bit of them at the very beginning, and then he establishes that they were created for a reason. I love the fact that Optimus Prime is one of these knights. They apparently were created to be crusaders. They don't really go into but what it sounds like is that they are crusaders against interspecies mingling. They are like Nazis. They make very, very brief mention while Optimus Prime is on this ship, and there's really cool swords jammed into the ground, like it's the Knights of the Round Table.
I was going to say, it's very Arthurian, isn't it?
It's very Arthurian, very Knights of the Round Table. So he mentions that he was supposed to be a crusader for the creator race, and the idea is that all this they say something about interspecies mingling being a problem. Now they don't. It's not.
Except Prime is cool with it.
Prime seems to be an anomaly. He seems to be the one that went off from the program.
Whatever that program is, we don't know it yet.
The way that they sort of intone it, it seems like it's almost like they want each race to be confined to their own planet. They don't want interspecies exchange of information and culture. And I know this is like sort of a big leap, but that's the impression that I got.
It's giving you an idea.
Yes. It's a very small part of the movie, but it was a part that just...
It doesn't throw something at you and just say, here it is, accept it.
No. And they give you just enough information to get the wheels turning a little bit. In all honesty, I went into this thinking it was going to be like a C- movie. I was hoping for it to be at least as good as the third one, probably not as good as the first one. God, I was hoping it wouldn't be as just god-awful as the second one. Turned out that it's better than all three of them. If you enjoyed the first movie, in my opinion, you'll at least enjoy this movie. I think that this movie is at least one grade letter higher than the first Transformers movie.
There was a lot of hype around this movie just because of the involvement of the Dinobots. What did you think about them?
I would have liked a little more backstory. They do establish at the very first scene that the creator race are the ones that actually destroyed all the organic life on this planet, all the dinosaurs and all that stuff. They didn't kill everything, but they killed as much as they could find because that's seemingly the only way to make the metal to create more of these Transformers, more of these Cybertronians. Which, again, they don't really go into. They just give you kind of a...
Yeah, why did they come to Earth? We don't really know.
A very tiny blurb as to why, and sort of lets you figure it out on your own.
Although it's pretty obvious that these aren't actual dinosaurs. They're alien dinosaurs.
Well...
Because there was a two-headed pteranodon in there. Grimlock is freaking huge.
That's true.
That is not a Tyrannosaurus.
But it's a really cool, fire-breathing Tyrannosaurus.
Yes. No.
I'm willing for it to be big enough so that Optimus can ride it, and he does.
I'm not complaining about it at all. I'm just simply stating these are not dinosaurs, per se. They're just very dinosaur-like creatures.
They are dinosaur-like. They don't really establish that they're from Earth. In fact, they aren't actually found on Earth. They are trapped. They've been imprisoned on the alien ship that the big evil bounty hunter has.
And it's implied that he picked them up from some other planet.
Oh, did they imply that?
Well, he's collecting all these other alien creatures.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. There are a lot of other alien creatures that we see.
And some organic creatures for some reason.
Well, yeah, no, they're organic. He's collected them and he calls them as trophies. But yeah, I liked them. I liked there's a fight between Optimus and these dinosaurs. These oh god, not Predacons. You just said it.
Dinobots?
Dinobots. Thank you. There's a fight between...
Although, yeah, why didn't they call them Predacons?
Yeah, they could have been called Predacons. There's a great fight between Optimus and the head Dinobot, Grimlock, and it's basically this is after he's drawn his knightly sword, which activates the transformation in him and gives him some knight style armor, and it becomes very, very, like you said earlier, very Arthurian, very, very chivalrous and all that stuff. And he basically challenges Grimlock to a duel for the leadership of the Dinobots. And he says, either you are with me, either you are with us or you are against me. Fight me and earn your freedom. So they go into this big, huge fight, and of course, Optimus wins, and he earns these strange robots respect enough for them to follow him. And then, of course, after that, the one thing I have a problem with for the Dinobots, he kind of lets them go. And the Dinobots, in theory, according to the old mythos, is that they're kind of stupid. They're kind of malfunctioning. So he basically...
And what's even worse here is that they're just animals.
Yeah, so he basically just released Godzilla-style monsters into the China countryside. Final words, in general, I would suggest go seeing the movie. If you enjoyed the first movie in the least, go see it, give it a look. You should like it better than the first movie. If you didn't like the first movie, if you wouldn't pay to see it again, I still encourage you to give this one a try. Maybe go see a matinee so that it's not so expensive. It was really pretty decent. Really pretty worth your time.
He is generally a fan of the Transformers movies, so of course it would probably make sense that he would come out with that kind of a review. It is really ironic. I've recently been reviewing a bunch of movies on the Chop Kick Panda and Friends DVD. The last one being, or rather the next review I'm doing, the last movie on that DVD is Ratatouille, which is, of course, ripping off Pixar's Ratatouille. In Ratatouille, one of the more poignant bits of the movie is seeing the old and embittered food critic Anton Ego coming to the realization that he has just been too hard on too many things in his career. And it takes a big man to admit that he was wrong. And today, I come to you in the hopes of being a big man myself. Because I was wrong. One of my longest running jokes in the 2+ years that I've been doing internet reviews is my complete and utter hatred for all things Michael Bay. Or, I shouldn't say that, I'm not entirely familiar with his whole filmography. I should say my hatred for all things Bay-related in connection with the Transformers. I'm a giant Transformers fan. I've grown up with them ever since I was a little tiny kid. I've got a lot of emotional investment in the Transformers. So, here I go into the first Transformers movie, and I was expecting it to be bad because I saw and heard a lot of things beforehand about how it was just looking like it was going to be just... ugh. I thought it was going to be so bad. But I was also optimistic about it in that I thought I would walk out of it the same way I did with Batman Begins. There was a lot about Batman Begins that made me fear the worst. But I walked out of that movie with a totally different opinion. I walked out of Batman Begins. I loved it. It was awesome. I was hoping and praying for that with the first Transformers movie, but I walked out of that movie feeling... well, there's no polite way of saying it. There's no politically correct way of saying this, but I gotta say, because that's how I felt. I felt, honestly, raped after seeing that movie. I went into the movie expecting, or hoping to have a good time. But no, this movie just did horrible things to me. More horrible than I could ever think could happen in a movie. And everyone there just stood by and watched while it happened. And so many of them were applauding it, and I couldn't believe it. It's like, really? You're seeing this, right? This is awful! What's wrong with you people? And it was like that for the next 4 years. Because it wasn't just the one movie. If it was the one movie, I might get over that. But every movie that came out since just kept getting worse and worse. And it was the same director making the same damn mistakes every single time. But, so yes, I had every reason to go into this movie thinking it was going to suck. There's no way this can be good. It's directed by Michael Bay. It's written by Aaron Kruger, the same guy who messed up the first two movies, the writers of the very first movie. Sorry, it was Aaron Kruger who messed up the last two movies, 2 and 3. The writers of the first movie went on to be executive producers of Transformers Prime, which was totally awesome. I have no idea how they turned that around, but they did, so there you go. But yeah. Transformers 4 Age of Extinction. We got Michael Bay directing. Aaron Kruger writing. This movie is going to be horrible. I saw that movie, and I was smiling. I was enjoying myself. I was laughing. There was... there was this stupid comic relief character. I know, in a Transformers movie. Big frickin' shock, right? And you get so many of those kinds of characters in these movies. And you want them all just to be shot. You want them killed. Every movie is full of these stupid comic relief characters, and they have no business being here. They are eating up screen time, but all we want is to get back to the story and just watch the Transformers do their thing. Why is the movie focusing on them? I don't want to see them, but there they are. But then, there was this friend that Mark Wahlberg has, who's kind of dim-witted stoner surfer guy, but not stereotypically so. It was there, but it wasn't just a cartoon character. It was just some guy, and he was comical, but he wasn't grating. I was laughing at him. But I should be focusing on him. This is the wrong thing to talk about. Yes, I still can't believe how I walked out of this movie feeling more or less genuinely good about it. I mean, it does have problems, of course. And frankly, the more that I think about it, the only real problem that this movie has is that it's still connected with the original trilogy. As you probably gathered from the trailers, the US government is hunting down the remaining Autobots on Earth. If this didn't have the history of the other movies, that probably would make sense. I mean, the government hates the Autobots because they're pretty much destroying everything that they've come across. We've seen this documented several times by now. And they want them killed. Which makes sense. Until you remember that they're connected with the other two movies. In the second movie... In the second movie, it's established that the Transformers survive on Energon. And that little fact is never mentioned up again in any of the movies, even in this new one, which again I'm praising. I'm giving good comments about this new Transformers movie. Yeah. Second movie, they harvest suns to gather Energon, which is their life force. Okay, makes sense. The third movie shows that we apparently have the technology to create transstellar spaceships, which we intend to use to basically give the Autobots the boot. And Optimus has the Matrix now, so he should, in theory, be able to build another Energon harvester and use the Matrix to power that to continue harvesting suns for their Energon. So yes, you have to remember those elements because they were in the previous movies, and you have to wonder why they don't try to do that in this movie. The government wants the Autobots gone. Okay, fine, I get that. But why are they trying to kill them? Why don't they simply just build another spaceship and tell them to beat it? They were going to do that before. That would seem like the grateful thing to do, since the Autobots are not the bad guys. Well, not really. They don't really say why they hate the Autobots like they do. Yes, they have every right to be angry with them because of all the damage that they've caused over the years, but they should know that the Autobots are not the villains of this story, because they've been working alongside them for quite a few years now, so why have their attitudes suddenly changed towards them? We don't know. Although it is interesting that we don't really know the motivation behind the Autobot hatred. Autobot anger, yes, but not Autobot hatred. It would look as if the government is just painted in the most black and white sense of evil government bureaucracy. We're the big bad government, so we have to be the bad guys now. Which, frankly, never made any sense to me, because how can Michael Bay keep on loving on the American military like he does, while at the same time hating on the American government? So feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I always thought that an army can only be as good as the government that's pulling its strings. Do I not know what I'm talking about? Am I dead on? I don't know. Feel free to comment below. Oh, and by the way, no military in this movie. No military. It is the Transformers. It is the CIA. That is it. Most of the action scenes in this movie are derivative entirely by the Transformers. Wow. the action is centered around the Transformers. I have been complaining about that for years. And they finally do it in this movie. The Autobots are the main fighting force because logically that should be the only fighting force. They're advanced aliens. Traditionally, alien invasion stories are supposed to have the might of the human race be totally swamped by what the aliens can give us. So when some invading alien force comes to Earth, what can we do? It's either something unforeseen that the aliens didn't expect, or in the case of the Transformers, it has to be the Autobots to save the day. Which is the case here, it would seem. Don't know why it took them 4 movies to get to that point, but there it is. The Autobots are the heroes in this movie. And... Black Lantern Dave said it best. Yeah. The Autobots actually have a reason to be assholes in this movie. They're being hunted. They have every right to be pissed off by the humans in this. The other movies, if there's some Autobot who's a dick, he's a dick just because he's a dick. But why is he a dick? We don't know. Because Aaron Kruger doesn't know how to write the Transformers. Except he does now. But I'm getting derailed here. I was saying earlier how it would certainly seem like the CIA, the government, is being written to be just a bunch of mustache-twirling villains. But, no, our main bad guy here, Kelsey Grammer, is actually... He comes from a place of the best of intentions. This is a guy who is doing what he's doing because he legitimately loves his country and fears for its safety. He's doing what he's doing because he feels he has to do it. This is his mission in life. He's not just doing it to be a dick like every other government bureaucrat that we've seen in these previous movies. Speaking of villains, again, spoiler alert, but if you're watching one of my reviews and I'm kind of a nitpicky guy, you're gonna expect that. There are no Decepticons in this movie. Well, at least not real Decepticons. The bad robots in this movie are actually being built by some tech company that has actually been able to tap into the Transformers genome. And as such, they can create anything, and anything they can create something else. The main CEO guy of this tech company is showing off this little plastic ball that he made. It's just a little white sphere. There is nothing to it. And just a little twirling of his finger, a little techno magic, it turns into some kind of a weird Rubik's Cube thing, and then all of a sudden, poof! It's a gun! This thing can be anything! Wow! And apparently they're using that same technology to build cars that turn into robots. And... although I did kind of think of this as soon as I saw that looks cool, but in the trailers you'll see that the attack on Chicago from the third movie is still pretty fresh in everyone's mind. And no, they never explain why Chicago was such a tragedy, but the attacks on Giza and Mission City in the first 2 movies were completely swept under the rug. Why did they cover that up, but not Chicago? I don't know. Yeah, Chicago is still in the backs of everyone's minds. It's the 9/11 of the Transformers movie universe. And for good reason. I ask why that wasn't swept under the rug like those other 2 things were, but then that just begs the question, why were the first 2 swept under in the first place? Were those not tragic? But, yeah, this tech company is making these cars that turn into robots And they actually take the time to make them look like the Transformers themselves. They don't make them look like robots that we humans might design. It just seems terribly tactless. I don't know, it seems like making a robot butler that looks like Osama bin Laden or something. Why would you do that? Speaking of building robots, I love Mark Wahlberg's character. It was announced several months ago that Mark Wahlberg would be playing our main human character, and everyone was all gung-ho for that, but that didn't sway me at all. Again, Michael Bay, again, Aaron Kruger. I have no reason to think that these two elements are going to make this movie work, like, no matter how good Mark Wahlberg might be. I mean, after all, he wasn't the saving grace of Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes remake, was he? Yeah, I'm not sold just by the presence of any actor. It's gotta be more than that. It's gotta be the direction, it's gotta be the writing, it's gotta be the art, it's gotta be the consistency of the movie itself overall, it's gotta be the whole overarching story, it's gotta be a lot of things for me. But yeah, Mark Wahlberg in this movie plays an inventor who is just in love with robotics. And he's actually built quite a few robots himself, and actually I was pretty impressed to see that they built robots within the confines of robotics as we humans currently know it. That way, when he finally sees a Transformer in all of its glory, he is just amazed by this thing. There is actual emotion at the revelation of these Transformers. All we saw from Sam and Michaela in the first movie at the discovery of these giant robots is just slightly slack-jawed, dead-eyed. I mean, you might be able to interpret that as being astounded. That could be too easily misinterpreted as being bored, or that they're looking at a ping-pong ball on a stick. I was not buying that at all. I see Mark Wahlberg's eyes light up when he first sees Optimus Prime. And you believe it. This is a guy who is so enthusiastic about the Transformers that he doesn't go along with what all of the anti-Transformer propaganda is saying, and that if you see an alien, you should call this number, like all those viral YouTube ads have been saying. Yeah, so, Mark Wahlberg, giant geek, trying to play the adult. He is a single father with a hot daughter who is actually more than just a pretty face. I'm sorry, I don't know her name off the top of my head, but she was actually a pretty decent actress in this. So, points for her. She wasn't just a blank slate like Megan Fox or Rosie Huntington-Whiteley were. She was good. Yeah, a lot of tug-and-war in the relationship between the daughter who just wants to live her life versus the dad who wants to be in control. He wants to hang on to his baby girl for as long as he can, but he just doesn't know how to do that. He's trying to take care of her, she's trying to take care of him, she's inexperienced, he's inexperienced as an adult, I suppose. It's a weird dynamic that they're both playing off of each other. And again, it works. We enjoy seeing this father-daughter dynamic. Yeah, yeah, he finds a beat-up Optimus Prime, and he is just overjoyed to see this thing that he thought was just a beat-up old truck. And of course, from that, he gets all entangled into the hunting down of the Autobots and all that. Just gotta check the camera here real quick, make sure it's not overheating. Ooh. I'm gonna have to cut this review a little bit short here. My camera's gonna be giving me troubles here. Geez, I haven't gotten even into the better parts yet. There's a lot more interaction between the Transformers here. It looks like they're actually trying to be the main characters in this movie here. Again, why did it take so long to get here? I don't know. It's a Transformers movie. Keep the camera on the Transformers for as long as possible. But, okay, I gotta wrap this up. I've been rambling on too long about nothing. The plot makes total sense on its own, except when you compare it to the plots of the other movies, which it has to tie itself into because it's a sequel. I could actually see all the action. I was confused by what was happening or what was going on. The cuts actually made sense. The shots were wide enough that I could actually see the whole thing. Good character development from the humans and the Transformers themselves. The lockdown character, that was nice. That was unexplained, but appropriately so. We don't know who this guy who's hunting down the Autobots really is. We don't know why the government would be quick to trust this unknown Transformer lockdown to hunt down the Autobots when they're very untrusting of the Autobots. Don't really get that. Yeah, I gotta wrap this up. I'm, again, rambling here. I guess all I have to say is that, again, I was wrong. I went into this movie thinking it was going to be terrible. The worst I can say about it is that it is flawed. On its own, it is good. As a part of the trilogy, it's, again, problematic. I gotta talk about Galvatron real quick. Actually, gotta give the camera a break here. Hang on. And we are back. Sorry about that little delay there. It occurs to me that I am totally rambling on here without any rhyme or reason. So for the sake of this review, I think it's best that I take a look at the notes that I was taking as I was writing, or as I was watching this movie here. Let's see, as I was saying, we see Mark Wahlberg stumbling upon Optimus Prime's body, who it seems ran out of energon? Yeah, again, going back to the whole problem with this movie being connected to the other movies, why is it that energon is such a big problem in the second movie but never in any of the others? I don't know. So yeah, Optimus Prime is more or less dead when Mark Wahlberg finds him. He hooks him up to a simple car battery, and he's alive again. Totally awesome. And he is a simple cab-over semi-truck, like he is in the original cartoon. And that always bugged me, that he wasn't that in the previous movies. Not so much that he wasn't that, just the reasons for him not being that. There's inherently nothing wrong with Optimus Prime being a Peterbilt, like he was in the first 3 movies, but just the idea that Michael Bay thought that the cab-over was too small to accommodate Optimus Prime, I don't get that. Allegedly, the old Optimus Prime would have been 20 feet tall, while the Optimus Prime that Michael Bay wanted, which would fit more easily into the larger truck than the smaller truck, would be 28 feet tall when in robot mode. Again, why make such a choice like that when we're supposed to be amazed by the sight of a giant robot in front of us? Oh my god, it's Optimus Prime! It's a big robot from outer space! I really don't think we'd be less impressed by a 20-foot robot than we would a 28-foot robot. And even if that were the case, the Transformers can shrink. They know how to bring their sizes down a bit in order to accommodate their vehicle modes. And in this movie, we see Prime transform into this smaller truck without any kind of limitation on his robot mode whatsoever. So why not just do that from the... I can't speak. So why not just do that from the beginning? I don't know. Yeah, that's a lot of my problem with Bay's decisions as a director. They're just so arbitrary. It's like he makes a decision, and there's no reason to make that decision. He is against making Optimus Prime mostly red, like he always has been in every other incarnation before the movies, because apparently the color red is very hard to photograph. Okay, I could debate that with some other movies that use lots of red. Cough, The Wizard of Oz, cough, made in 1939, cough. But then he goes and makes some Ferrari in the third movie completely red. What the hell? So, yeah, he's on the run from the government, so of course it makes sense that he would hide as some other truck mode, because the Transformers in this universe can do that. They can transform into anything on a whim, as opposed to Transformers in every other incarnation, where it seems like they initially start out with some alternate mode that they first come across, and they're stuck with it. I don't know what that's all about. I always thought that the Transformers got their alternate modes the same way that someone might get a tattoo. You gotta be really careful about what you're gonna get, because you're stuck with it for a long time. And if you want to get rid of it, it's gonna be quite a process. Yeah, the old beat-up truck looks good on Optimus. Why he wasn't that all the time, I don't know. Let's see, go back to my notes here. Yes, here's a big question that's been on my mind since the revelation that Shia LaBeouf was not going to be in this next movie. How will Bumblebee react to the absence of Sam? Bumblebee had a huge connection with Sam for some reason. Really, Sam Witwicky was just an asshole to Bumblebee. Why are these two friends? I have no idea. He's constantly abusing him throughout the entire original trilogy. Hi, Bumblebee, I'm gonna go to college here, so you're gonna stay here. Bumblebee, I need some help. Hey, get back in the garage. You're screwing everything up, you dick. Yeah, Sam, this is for you. Does Sam's absence actually mean anything to the poor Bumblebee that we all love? No. There's not even a mention. He's just gone now, despite Bumblebee always regarding himself as Sam's car. And it bothers me from a cinematic standpoint, because this was such a huge deal in the last trilogy. Their alleged friendship. That was the driving force behind the whole movie trilogy. But now there's not even a mention of why he's no longer with him. Hell, even in the third movie, there was some throwaway line as to why Sam was no longer with Megan Fox. But Bumblebee and Sam... Yeah, Sam who? I have no idea who you're talking about. I can't say I blame him. Again, Sam's just a dick to him. So... Oh, you're not going to be in this movie? Alright, bye, screw you, you won't be missed. Anyway, Optimus, you were saying? Speaking of Bumblebee talking... why did he go back to talking through his voice box if the Allspark fixed him at the end of the first movie? I don't know. That was always stupid. No one who talks is going to suddenly go back to being mute if they have the option. It's only going to get in the way. You want to actually communicate with people. Hell, I can talk, and even I know that I'm not communicating perfectly with all of you. Again, this is why I need something to go off of. I need a script because I pretty much suck at impromptu speaking. But in this movie, he's not fixed. His voice box isn't repaired, but he speaks through the voice box, or through his radio, a lot more clearly. He's not using obvious quotes from old movies or songs or whatever. It sounds more like he's cobbling together an actual voice. It's entirely possible that he's just using quotes that I'm just simply not recognizing. But, yeah, it sounds like he's actually learning how to use his radio as a working voice box. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. See the movie for yourself, which, again, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I do recommend. So, yeah, there's that. Let's see, so, yeah, Sam's gone and nobody cares. Just like you would expect. Let's see. Yeah, why are we supposed to remember Chicago, but not the alien attacks in Giza or Mission City in 2009 and 2007? I don't know, it's just weird. Why couldn't they just cover up Chicago? Because a little more people died than however many people died before? I mentioned earlier how the government wants the Transformers off the planet because they're causing all kinds of mayhem. they're not exactly proving them wrong by the end of the movie. Of course, it's a Michael Bay movie, which means that there has to be all kinds of collateral damage everywhere. The climax of the movie happens in either Hong Kong or Beijing. They flip-flop on where they are. And these Transformers are tear-assing all over China. So, yeah, they're really digging their own graves as far as their relationship with the government goes. Yeah. Not sure how you cover that up, but apparently they covered up an attack in China in the second movie again, so what's so different this time? I don't know. Yeah, this is good. This is good. Mark Wahlberg originally finds the unconscious/dead Optimus Prime in an old movie theater that is totally wrecked. Before he finds Optimus, which crashed through the wall into the backstage area of the theater for some reason, we don't know what led up to his demise here. He's talking with the owner of the theater, who is very nostalgic about the golden age of cinema. And he remarks that today movies are just a bunch of sequels and remakes, a bunch of crap. And how ironic that that line is said in the first Transformers sequel that I'm actually enjoying. That's crazy. Just crazy. Let's see. A little minor nitpick. We've seen Wahlberg in the trailers saying that he can scrap this semi that he found and sell the parts, which will help his daughter get through college. I'm not sure how much that kind of scrap would actually go for. I don't think that would work. But she's denied financial aid for some reason, and we don't know why. Why not? I don't know. Graduation is on the horizon at her high school. She doesn't seem like a particularly dumb girl. I can only assume she's doing well in her classes. By the way, this girl playing Mark Wahlberg's daughter, very decent actress. Megan Fox, I never believed what she was doing. Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, never believed her. This girl, and again, I hate not knowing her name, but she was good. Kudos to you, girl. You're more than just a pretty face. I look forward to seeing you in more movies. Let's see. I mentioned that Mark Wahlberg is a robotics enthusiast. That is awesome. Speaking of his enthusiasm for robotics, it was very nice seeing that in this world made up of CGI Transformers, the prop people on this movie actually took the time to actually make real robots that Wahlberg built in his barn, in his laboratory. They used real puppets in this, which I'm always a fan of. CGI is a great tool, but if you can do something practically, then I think that's what you need to do. It just gives the actors something more to work with when they're actually on the set, you know what I mean? It just looks better overall. I took note of how the cinematography in this was a lot better. He actually stayed on the subject longer before cutting to something else. The editing was very smooth. It wasn't choppy or frenetic or anything. What we got? I also asked why the government is quick to trust whatever faction of Transformers that the bounty hunter hunting down the Autobots comes from. Why do they trust him but not the Autobots themselves, which they've been working with? I don't know. I also mentioned that there was this lab that was building consumer Transformers, right? It turns out that they were building all of their stuff based on the salvaged corpses of the Decepticons from the Chicago battle in Transformers 3. Including the head of Megatron, which they fed into all their computers. And they also somehow got their hands on Brains, the little Einstein-looking robot that transformed into a laptop. The guy with the fiber optic hair, the guy who always talking like this because I'm an annoying little sidekick character, comic relief. I want you to die. There's a wonderful scene where he's trapped in a jar or something, and some scientists zap him. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're pumping information out of him. But, oh my goodness, it was so delightful seeing him in pain. It didn't help that he lives throughout the entire movie. Again, while I am liking this movie, it did have its problems. That guy being one of them. Why did he have to live? I don't know. Just die already. Yeah. Dave said it best. The secret boyfriend of Wahlberg's daughter is a complete dick. Just totally full of himself. I don't know. And he is not shy about moving in on the daughter in front of the dad. Nobody wants to see that, you asshole. I mean, come on. What else? One other interesting plot point, again, spoilers. The director of the lab that's building all the consumer Transformers is trying to make his own Optimus Prime knockoff. I don't know why. Again, the Autobots are the bad guys, right? Why are they making robots that look like the bad guys? It's weird. And again, they're building this out of technology that they can bend into anything with a simple gesture. Which is freaking awesome. I can't say that enough. It just is. They can turn a My Little Pony into a gun. Into this big old freaking thing. It's it's awesome. I want a Transformer ball. He plays around with this little white thing that turns into anything. I want the Transformer ball. Somebody make the Transformer ball happen. Yeah, so he's trying to make an Optimus Prime knockoff with this new technology, and for some reason it always comes out looking kinda sorta like Megatron. Why is that? Curious. I mentioned earlier how they have Megatron's head feeding information into all their computers. It turns out that while Megatron's spark is extinguished, it seems that there's still some remnants of Megatron's consciousness inside of his head, which would make sense because, hey, they're robots. And his consciousness is feeding its way not only into this Optimus knockoff. By the way, this Optimus knockoff turns into a black semi, very much like Nemesis Prime, Black Convoy, whatever you want to call it. That is cool. And it makes sense. So, yeah, it makes sense in a Transformers movie. Mind blow! Yeah, this consciousness of Megatron is leaking its way into this Optimus Prime knockoff, and the result is apparently what these scientists want to call Galvatron, for some reason. Which was black, silver, and a few hints of blue. Which was interesting. Megatron in the original series was always black and gray, so to see this Galvatron being a little bit more colorful like he was in the original animated movie, that was a good touch. I like that. And and Galvatron is voiced by Frank Welker. Wow. And he's great. Because he's Frank Welker. Frank Welker is always a great voice actor. And again, it's like seeing Prime as the old, iconic cab-over truck. It's awesome, and I like it, but it does make me question why they didn't just do this at the beginning. I don't know. It's weird. But regardless, good to see you on board, Mr. Welker. Keep on being Galvatron. Oh, yeah. There's also another side Autobot that's getting a lot of attention. Hound, played by John Goodman of all people. He's kind of the replacement for Ironhide in this movie. He's a gun-toting, beer-gut-swinging American, I guess. Except he's not quite as trigger-happy, which is good. Because, again, the Autobots aren't supposed to be assholes. But, a fun little detail that he has is that he actually smokes a cigar. I think it was in the comic story All Hail Megatron, where someone points out that the Autobot Cup actually smokes a cigar, which is kind of it's a weird thing. It's a fun little thing to think about. It's like, why is an Autobot smoking? It's one of those things that you question, but not from an, oh my god, why are they doing that? It completely ruins the movie kind of questioning. It's just a fun little thing, like, it begs you to think about what the Transformers are as characters, and as people. I mean, why does a human smoke? Initially they do it because they like the taste, they like the sensation. What kind of sensation does a robot feel when it does that? I don't know, it's kind of fun to think about. It's fun to think about. I'm saying that about a Transformers movie. It's fun to think about. Good lord, what happened here? Let's see, what else? Yeah, again, how much of an asshole is the boyfriend? She gets trapped along with Optimus when Lockdown, the bounty hunter, grabs him and takes him aboard a spaceship to fly off to their creators. Yes, they had creators, even though we thought that they were just some naturally occurring species of robots. Someone built them? Holy crap, game changer, what's going on here? Yeah, Mark Wahlberg's daughter gets trapped along with Optimus, and the boyfriend comes along with Wahlberg to get her back. And, he says to her father, I'm not here to help get your daughter. I'm here to get my girlfriend. Douchebag! You need to die. Seriously, what? You're an asshole. I don't like you. Go away. Another fun little detail. Apparently, this Lockdown guy has, he has some robot hyenas on him, which was interesting. We've seen other kinds of animals in the Transformers universe, so seeing hyenas, that was a fun touch. Not entirely unbelievable. And for some reason it looks like while they're trying to get the daughter back from Lockdown, it seems his spaceship is hovering over Chicago. Yeah, really, really bad place to do that. Ugh. Not very tactful. And while this is going on, while we have this big freaking spaceship hovering over Chicago, Kelsey Grammer is phoning up all of the heads at Washington saying, "This is not an alien attack. This is my contact." Are you sure? Because he's firing cables into one of the buildings there. Actually, no, that was just a distraction, so he would be busy while Wahlberg and the boyfriend go off to get their daughter. Again, it's smart. These people are being intelligent. Well, let's see. We gotta keep the other security forces on the ship away from us. Ooh, what happens when we press this button? Pew! Mayhem! Hey, you guys take care of that. What's going on here? Don't look at us. We're over here not trying to save our daughter or anything. Okay, good. You do that. I'm joking. That didn't happen. That would just be too stupid. This movie is not stupid. It's not. Wow. I can't believe it. This movie's not stupid. Back on track. Oh, yes. So, the consciousness of Megatron is resurrected in this Optimus Prime knockoff called Galvatron, and he wants to get this sort of bomb that is made up of the Cybertronian DNA that Lockdown has. And he's going to give this thing to the tech company building the Transformers, and in exchange, they help him get the other Autobots back up to their creator, or something, yeah. So with this in mind, Megatron knows about this, and he wants to get all that Transformium, they're calling it, for himself, so he can build himself a new army. So that's cool. Again, kind of retreading familiar territory with the first movie where he's trying to get our technology to build an army, except this makes a little bit more sense. It makes sense. I'm saying that about a Transformers movie. I'm saying that a lot. That is so weird, so weird. Fun little nod. I remember reading years ago that one of the producers said that they would have to be retarded if they didn't use the Transformers more than meets the eye a musical cue somewhere in the movie. And that never happened. So, yeah, producer, you're a retard. And what happens in this movie? One of the scientists working at the lab that is creating the Transformers, they actually have their cell phone have the ringtone do 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 do. That got a chuckle out of me. Okay, you earned that. Yeah, so Lockdown loses Optimus, and they're trying to stop the acquisition of the Transformium seed, they're calling it, from going off somewhere in the Mongolian desert, which apparently is going to create a whole bunch of new Transformium for this tech company. The Autobots need to get that because Galvatron wants to take it for himself and kill everything in the process of getting a new army for himself. And it turns out that Optimus is not the only one that Lockdown is trying to give back to his creators. Apparently there are other Transformer species all over the galaxy that he's been hunting down, including the Dinobots. In this movie, they were not built by Wheeljack because Wheeljack/Q was killed in the last movie, and look how sad I am about that. Yeah. So the Dinobots in this movie are more or less just animals, and they appear to be dinosaurs from some other planet because we got some two-headed Pteranodon in there, fire-breathing T-Rex that is like, what, 10, 20 times bigger than an actual T-Rex from Earth. So, yes, it's not the same set of Dinobots that we all knew and loved, but it didn't feel terribly out of place in this movie. It felt like it stands on its own. This movie is not going out of its way to mess up any elements of the Transformers mythology, at least as far as we know. The origins of the Transformers now are a bit more mysterious. We don't know where Lockdown came from exactly, but it's not saying that it's something else which it shouldn't be. So it's leaving it very open-ended, but in an intriguing way as opposed to a bad storytelling kind of way. Yeah, so long story short, too late. They stop all the evil Decepticons that Galvatron is now taking control over from the science lab here, with the help of the Dinobots, which Optimus basically just outmans. He goes up to Grimlock, who is, I guess, the self-appointed leader of the Dinobots, despite their having any kind of social interaction between all the Dinobots. And he basically says, okay, I'm going to help the humans here, and you're going to take me there, and you're not going to give me any trouble about it, right? With a big old punch in the face. So, yeah. They help the Autobots in stopping the Decepticons and saving humanity, blah, 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 getting a hold of the Transformium seed. And after that, Optimus just lets these wild animals run around free in the Chinese countryside. So, yeah, again, I'm liking this movie a lot more than the others, but not without its problems. So now we've got a whole bunch of giant metal monsters running around in Asia somewhere. I'm sure that never happens anywhere else. And something else kind of weird. They escaped from Lockdown's ship earlier by leaving in a little shuttle. Very much like the shuttle from Beast Wars that the Maximals flew off in that came from the Ark at the end of Season 3. Spoiler alert. And it looks like they're going to use that ship to go home, because, again, they're making it pretty clear why none of the governments of Earth want them around. They're just making a mess everywhere that they go. Yeah, it looks like they're going to leave Earth with this new ship that they have. And Optimus says that he's going to take the Transformium seed and then fly off to see his creators, whoever they are, to take it to him. And it looks like he's going to take the wars away from Earth with him. If Lockdown is coming after Optimus because he doesn't belong on this planet, then who knows who else is going to come after him. He's going to nip that in the bud by just going straight to the creators and taking the fight to them. Awesome. And you'd think they would do this by flying away in the spaceship, but apparently Optimus had rockets in his feet the whole time. Maybe those would have come in handy in earlier movies? I don't know, I'm just saying. But okay, wrapping up. The plot mostly made sense. The characters, for the most part, were likable, a lot deeper than you would think in a movie like this. There were only 2 annoying characters in the entire movie, and I can't believe what a godsend it is that a Transformers movie has only 2 annoying characters, Brains and the irritating boyfriend there. My god, I hated him. And I was cheering for Mark Wahlberg. I was enjoying the human story, says the guy who's always bitching and moaning, why don't these Transformers movies have more focus on the Transformers story? Come on, it's a Transformers movie, and why do I sound like this? I don't know. But yeah, I like Wahlberg's story. The Transformers story, that was good too. It was an overall very enjoyable experience. Really, the only real problem with this is all the questions that arise from what happened in the other movies, which, again, don't really gel with what happens in this movie, but maybe that's a good thing. Again, I like this movie, and as a liker of good movies, I want to see it succeed, but at the same time, if it does succeed, that means we're only going to get another sequel. And this movie intentionally ends open-endedly enough that there just very well might be another sequel in the future. Maybe a whole new trilogy, or hell, how many other movies are going to come after this? I don't know. But if other movies are made, can they be as good as this movie? I like to think so, but it's also terrifying. It scares me, because it's very likely that it wouldn't. I would love to see another Transformers movie like this. I am serious. I want to see more of this. But we also saw what happened with Transformers 2, don't we? I had a differing opinion at the time, but apparently most people thought that the first Transformers movie was awesome. Then Bay got to do whatever he wanted. He was given a lot more directorial freedom in the second movie, and it tanked. It still made mountains of money, but it tanked. And I don't want a repeat of that. So, yeah, basically all I can say at this point is Michael Bay, Aaron Kruger, I have no idea what you guys did with this one, but it worked. And I would like to see it continue working. Whatever you guys did in this, keep on doing that. Keep on doing that, because I want to like these movies. I want to like these movies, okay? And again, I know that one of my biggest running jokes throughout my 2 years plus of doing this show has been my hatred for the Transformers movies. And rest assured, I am still going to hate on the first 3 because they're still freaking stupid, but I want the future of the Transformers movies to be more like this. And if you can take that little extra effort and put those and make those movies have just a little bit more to do with what this 4th movie did, because the fourth movie only kinda sorta works with the other trilogy, but not really. If you can do what you did here, and do that again for the next couple of movies, and make it all tie in together a little bit more, that will be great. The people who previously hated these movies, I would like to think that they would like them a lot more if these movies were like what this movie did. And the people who already like your movies, they're not going to care because they're happy to turn their brains off and enjoy the explosions. So, and keep those too, because yes, we do want explosions and big epic fight scenes and car chases in a Transformers movie, of course. But it's okay to not be stupid. And this movie was not stupid. Keep doing this. I want to see this movie again. You heard me say it. I want to see this movie again. And that's really all that I can say now. So, yeah. Transformers 4. Age of Extinction. I recommend this movie. So, yeah. I'll see you guys later.
Subscribe, like, follow, comment, share, watch more, more.